What hasn't changed in the last 6 months? Politically speaking, I mean, we've pretty much watched as the federal government has spun nothing that will benefit California. I mean, watched the we've watched the police brutality bill go down in flames. We've watched anything having to do with gun control not happen. We've watched as Build Back Better became Build Back Bitter. Um, I mean, it's been a great 6 months for Joe Manchin. He's become a household word. Um, from a federal standpoint, that's we haven't seen much. It's like it's been pretty disappointing. On a state and local level, we've seen spikes in COVID. Um, we've seen mask mandates. We've seen protests. We've seen AB 1400, which I'm going to address tomorrow night, go down in flames, or basically go out with a whimper rather than a bang in the state assembly. Um, we've seen Candace Reed out in Riverside County finally get terminated for her insulting indigenous video. That will be on tomorrow night's podcast too. We've seen major organization. We've seen one major organization or one former major organization in the California independence movement basically implode. It's been busy. There's been a lot to talk about. I am reminded of the immortal words of one of America's great 20th century philosophers, George Carlin, who spoke about America as basically being owned. There is a class of people in America who are the owners of America. They own you, he said. Um, they own everything. They own the banks. They own. It's like, and at the time when we were watching him say these things, we were like, now we it was difficult to see. It was difficult to see. Now we realize that was the truth. That was a serious truth. Those people, the owners of America, it's like, and now we call them the one percenters or the billionaire class or the donor class, or we've got a lot of names for them. Yeah, they were fond of democracy as long as the game was rigged. It's a point lost on Californians, though, that goes, this is one of the reasons why independence is kind of an important discussion. Um, you see, we can watch it as it sits right now. This is a storm coming and just one of many. This is a storm coming that we won't be able to address until it's already gained so much momentum that it will be almost unstoppable for us. Once enough red states pass these anti-reproductive laws, and once it becomes normalized, then by the time it reaches, the hallowed halls of Washington D.C. or the Supreme Court, who, let's face it, is guaranteed not to side with California values, it will be impossible for Californians to do anything but, take to the streets and march. But we already know that they ignore that anyway. So, yeah, and a lot of things come down the pipe like that. My intention is to just continue to look to improve Red Star and look to broaden its reach a little bit, so that we can get more people and more voices. This California independence is not going to happen unless we talk. Unless we normalize it, we get this conversation going. It's one of the things that the movement hasn't managed to do yet. Too many brass ring grabs, not enough just reaching out to people to get the idea across on a grassroots level. I mean, we're we make no bones about it. Red Star Report is not unbiased. We're California. We're very California independence biased. We have to get that message out. We have to let people know that there is an alternative to this ongoing, you know, there never a bit of good news coming out of Washington.